Today, we're going to dive deep into the mind of someone whose wisdom has, seriously, echoed through centuries. This is a man who taught us how to win the battle before it even begins. Of course, we're talking about Sun Tzu, the calm storm of ancient China. Every battle is won before it is fought. Think about that for a second. That right there, that's the key to everything Sun Tzu believed. It's not really about how strong you are or how sharp your sword is. Nope. It's all about preparation, strategy, and maybe most importantly, what's going on inside your own head. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Okay, so to really get this, we've got to travel back in time. Picture ancient China, a place just filled with constant conflict. I mean, total chaos. But in the middle of all that noise, there was this one guy. And he wasn't a warrior, not at first. He was a watcher. And you know what he studied? Human nature. He studied it more intensely than any soldier ever studied their own sword. And here's the big insight he had, the thing that changed everything. He realized battles aren't really lost out there on the field. They're lost in here, in your mind, moments before anything even happens. They're lost because of fear, because of doubt, because we let our emotions take over. So while everyone else was busy training their bodies, getting stronger, he was focused on something way more powerful, the mind. That's the real battlefield. And this leads us to his absolute foundational lesson. You've probably heard it. If you know yourself, you need not fear 1,000 battles. See, for him, it wasn't even about knowing your enemy first. That part comes later. The first step, the most important step, was knowing yourself. He saw how people lied to themselves, how they hid behind their own ego, how they got into all these pointless fights. And he realized self-knowledge, that's the ultimate weapon. So you might be wondering, how does a guy prove a philosophy that's so, well, out there? Well, the most famous story about Sun Tzu tells us exactly that. It's the day he stood before the very skeptical king of Wu. And this wasn't going to be a battle with armies and swords. Oh no, this was a test of pure command. The king, probably thinking he's being clever, basically tries to humiliate him. He presents Sun Tzu with his palace women, pampered, not warriors at all, and says, "Here's your army. Command them." You can just imagine the scene, right? The whole court is laughing, the real warriors are scoffing, and the women themselves, they think it's all just a big joke. This was the ultimate test. But Sun Tzu, he's totally unfazed. He gives them incredibly simple instructions. When I beat the drum once, you march. When I beat it twice, you turn. 3 times, you strike. That's it. So simple, so clear. There was absolutely no way to misunderstand what he was asking. So he beats the drum, and they just burst out laughing. Giggling, talking, complete chaos. The whole experiment was, at that moment, a total embarrassing failure. But here's the thing. Sun Tzu doesn't fly off the handle. He doesn't get angry. He just calmly states his core principle. He says, if my instructions weren't clear, that's on me. That's my fault. But, and this is a big but, if the words are understood and you still don't obey them, then the fault lies with your commanders. And then, the moment that stunned everyone. He ordered the execution of the 2 women he had just appointed as commanders. And who were they? Oh, just the king's 2 favorite concubines. The king literally begged him to stop, to take it back. But Sun Tzu was like a rock. He said, on the battlefield, a general's orders are absolute. End of story. You could have heard a pin drop. The entire palace just fell silent. The laughter was gone. The remaining women froze. They realized this wasn't a game anymore. Not at all. So Sun Tzu beats the drum again. March, turn, strike. And this time, it was flawless, perfect. They moved like a single organism, a perfectly oiled machine. He had just proven his point in the most dramatic way possible. Clarity plus consequence equals absolute, unwavering discipline. Okay, so that incredible lesson in discipline, it translates directly to a real battlefield. Sun Tzu took this idea of psychological mastery and completely turned warfare on its head. For him, it was always about winning the mental game before anything else. And the difference in his approach was just night and day. Think about other generals at the time. What did they do? They'd roar, they'd charge in, they'd rely on panic and brute force. Sun Tzu, his method was the total opposite. It was about a whisper, not a roar. It was about waiting, not charging. It was about taking a breath. He operated from a place of complete control, not chaos. And that right there is such a crucial point. He didn't try to avoid chaos. No, he used it. It was his superpower. While his enemies were running around, panicking, reacting purely on emotion, Sun Tzu saw a window. He saw an opportunity. He found his advantage right in the middle of the very thing everyone else was afraid of. As he got older, his students kept asking him for more tricks, more strategies for defeating their enemies. But Sun Tzu's final, deepest philosophy, well, it wasn't about the opponent at all. It was about turning that focus completely inward. And this is the ultimate lesson of his entire life's work. This is it. This is the heart of everything. He taught that the biggest win you'll ever have isn't beating some person out there. The greatest victory is conquering your own mind, your own fear, your own ego, your own impatience. If you can do that, if you can master yourself, the outside world suddenly becomes a whole lot easier to handle. So what does it all boil down to? A few incredibly powerful ideas. That true discipline, that's actually freedom. That clarity, that's real power. That patience isn't just waiting around, it's an active strategy. And that silence, yeah, that can be a weapon. It all comes from this one core idea. A calm, focused mind is the sharpest, most dangerous tool you will ever have. Okay, so now we get to the most important part of all of this. We get to you, because Sun Tzu's wisdom, it isn't just some dusty old philosophy for ancient generals. It's for us, right here, right now, as we try to navigate our own modern battlefields. So let me ask you, straight up, what's your battlefield? And I'm pretty sure it's not a literal field with mud and swords. It's probably something way more personal and, honestly, a lot harder to deal with. Your enemies might not look like armies, but believe me, they are just as real. We're talking about that fear that stops you from starting something new, that little voice of self-doubt that whispers you're not good enough, the constant distraction of your phone that just wrecks your focus, the laziness, the habit of comparing yourself to others, the pure chaos of a crazy schedule. These are the modern battles that Sun Tzu's wisdom can help you win. So think about it. That tough conversation you have to have, that super stressful project at work, that personal crisis that feels overwhelming. The key is to find your center in all of that. Because the second you become the calmest person in that storm, you're not the victim of it anymore. You actually become the one who controls it. In the end, Sun Tzu's art of war is really the art of self-mastery. These ideas are timeless because the one thing that hasn't changed in thousands of years is the human mind, the real battlefield. So he leaves us with one simple question, and I'll leave it with you. Are you ready to win the battle within?